Hello, welcome to June 9th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This exercise is something that I do every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:37 a.m. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the challenges and opportunities that I met. And I finish by thinking about the coming day and what challenges and opportunities I might anticipate and meet, and to prepare myself for those as well. Also to ready myself for the ambush, right? The things that happen that I didn't expect, that I want to be ready for. Altogether, this creates a story, right? It makes a little tiny little day-long chapter, 24-hour chapter of my life. And I take it piecemeal, one at a time. More deliberate living, I think. First, last night and yesterday. Slept really good last night. Went to bed on time. Just slept all night. I mean, deep sleep, and woke with the alarm. I mean, it really seems like those days of insomnia are gone. Just deep sleep. And I feel so good. It's the good this morning that I used to feel in my 20s and 30s. Mostly right around age 24, when I took my sleep for granted, I took my good health for granted. I didn't know any better. Right now, I feel just like that. I feel like I could do anything. The only difference being that my mind is so much more capable now than back then. I mean, sure, my memory isn't as good, and I'm not as sharp on some things. But in terms of having a deep toolkit and a giant landscape of memory and experience to dwell on, not to call from, not to mention the toolkit of the Good Life Creed and the experience of having lived going alone. All of that comes together in a very. It's like being a chef. It's like when I was 24. It was like being, a cook in a rude ship's kitchen. It's just the ship is swaying and the stove is on the gimbal, and I'm trying to cook up a can of chili. And now, even though I don't cook, I've got a great chef's kitchen before me, and all the ingredients and all the larder and stocks shelves, and somehow I know what I'm doing. or feign know what I'm doing, and that's what it sort of feels like. Whether that description carries the story, I'm not sure, but I think I tried my best. So yesterday was a good day, except I hated it. So did Miko. It incessantly become a topic of our evening walks together. How we're just done with work. We just don't want to do this anymore. Just don't. It's like being we both feel. I'm trying to pull another example out. It's like being passengers in a 60-year-old, 59-year-old man and woman on the Titanic that are tidying up our cabin as the ship's coming down, right? Going down, and we're straightening up all the stuff, right? Because that's what work feels like right now. I know it's important. I know it's got to be done, but we don't want to do that anymore. Time is short. Let's get out on deck and look at the moon. Oh, what a nice iceberg. Okay. Challenges and opportunities met yesterday. Just had a huge list of things to do for work yesterday. I just had so many things I did for work yesterday, and I just did them. And the hard stuff too. Just powered through I'm full of imagery today in my mind. Just like powered through like a what do you call them? The guys that used to work on the railroad with the sledgehammer, pounding spikes in the rails. Just all day. Oh, one more thing I wanted to share. I'm reading. Before I do this, the first thing I do after I wake up, after I clean up and make my cup of coffee, I sit here and I drink my cup of coffee and I read poetry. Usually I read one poem a morning and then I start the camera. And I'm reading from John Keats' complete works. This is a great volume. This is the Penguin Classics, and it's arranged in chronological order, in the order in which the poet wrote them, from his earliest poems all the way to the end. And I've been stuck now. Stuck is not the right term. I've been deliberately lingering for at least a week now on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6.5 page poem called Standing on the Tippy Toe. I stood tiptoe upon a little hill. I stood tiptoe upon a little hill. First of all, it took me a long time to read because it's full of words that I didn't know, like diadems and labrum and crisses and sorrel and livers and spangle and state, and I didn't know exactly what the etymology of psyche was, so I had to look all this stuff up. Plus, it has lots of good little, the bits in yellow here, lots of good bits that needed, this page had 3 of them, lots that needed thought and consideration and reflection. Plus, it was hard to understand. I mean, it opens beautifully. I stood tiptoe upon a little hill. The air was cooling and so very still, that the sweet buds, which with a modest pride pulled droopingly in slanted curve aside, their scanty leaved and finely tapered stems, had not yet lost those starry diadems, caught from the early sobbing of the morn. The clouds were pure and white as flocks new shorn, and fresh from the clear brook, sweetly they slept on the blue fields of heaven, and then there crept. It just gets better. So I really wanted to know this poem, so I've been reading it over and over, day after day, really kind of in like 2-page chunks, reflecting on it. And what I've discovered is that it's like playing the guitar. If you got a little riff that you want to do and you're teaching your fingers and you try to struggle at it today. And then every evening I finish the evening as Yumiko's cooking dinner, I sit in the garden with my guitar and I struggle with little riffs. I just make stuff up. And then I have a little tutorial that I can follow too, but I like to make up things. The next day it's a little better. The next day it's a little better. And then one day it just happens and then I don't have to think about it anymore. That's what it's like with this poem. This morning was the first morning, maybe armed with this sharp mind, and I just read the whole thing. Well, I did not the whole thing. I have to watch the time because the dogs are on a clock. They'll want their food, so I have to make sure I can finish everything. That's a long poem. So I read, but it just came to me, all full of imagery. I was just understanding it all. That's how I want to spend my time. I don't want to spend it on that list anymore. I want to spend my time. I want to wake up, read my poem. I want to spend the whole day with poetry, the whole day with walking, the whole day with my wife and my dogs, and writing, just doing stuff like that. I don't want to be doing that work list anymore. That's the impatience that comes. The impatience of getting old and wanting to rarefy life. I'll leave it at that. Let's do the good life. I need to go quick. My 7 objectives. 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities. And 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And all of these items, all of these objectives and principles can be found categorically organized and arranged just in the way I'm going to say them, but with detailed descriptions of what they mean in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter, The Good Life. Now, the 34 principles are war, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, social principle, principle of family, public speaking. That's what I miss sometimes. Distraction, agency, and the great indifference. But that's the one I miss most of the time. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be borne. The feast of Offal. Distraction, agency, and the great indifference. Did I say that already? No. I don't think so. the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the the season of philosophy. I feel like I've stumbled a little bit here. Season of philosophy, the script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, and the principle of fun. So what if I missed one or two? I'll get back on the horse. Something else I almost did yesterday. I was almost pulled the trigger. I wanted to press my wife into pulling the trigger on buying her one-way ticket to Japan. Because she said, "What do you want to buy it for?" May 1st. She looks at me. She says, "Kurt, our daughter won't graduate till the end of May." You're trying to get rid of her. So that's the earliest you can do it. You can buy the tickets about a year ahead of time. Okay, let's finish this up. As for the coming day, it's just going to be a day of work, another day of work. I have a couple of meetings. Just gonna power through. It's just keep busy, keep focused, do my job, do my damn job that I'm grateful for, and keep at it. And then in the evening, in the afternoon, I'll walk with my wife at lunchtime with the dogs, and we'll talk. And then I'll walk with her again in the evening, and we'll talk. And then I'll play my guitar. We'll have our dinner. We'll watch our show together. And then I'll go to bed. And hopefully I'll sleep another good night. Awake tomorrow, refreshed and ready, with verve and voom for another day. And with that, I'll say goodbye. I'll say be safe but not too safe. And my life is now done, if not finished. See you later.